to go?
Yeah, perfect. Yes.
Excellent. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talk to Danielle podcast. I am your host, Danielle C. Baker. And before we get started, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to whichever channel you're listening or watching from. And of course, this is season 4, so I do invite you to have a look at the previous 3 seasons. There may be some topics there that may relate to your reality a little bit more. They are timeless episodes, so there's something there that certainly could help you. And we're going to jump right in today, a very important topic. And I'm really glad that my guests reached out because it hasn't hit us on this side of the planet. But we're going to be talking about a digital ban that is going on in Australia, where they are talking about banning social media for children under 16 years old. So you can imagine what kind of energy that created over there. I have the wonderful Dr. Sajita Setia with me. She's going to be talking to us about how to prepare for something like this when we don't get a lot of information on what that ban is going to imply. And we're going to be talking about how that affects us globally. So thank you so much, Sajita, for joining me. I'm really excited to have you on.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for having me. Pleasure. And I'm so excited about our conversation today.
Great. Before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a physician for last 20 years. I have good background in pharmaceutical medicine, but I got really passionate about digital well-being and digital health, and with particular focus on mental well-being in children through my own journey as a physician, but largely as a mother of two. So I have a 15-year-old and an 11-year-old. It started 5 years back when I decided to initiate research through collaborations with universities and schools, looking into the factors that influence mental well-being in children, and also focusing on digital well-being. Because my son, when he was in his early preteen years, he got really fascinated with playing online chess, which is great. That's what I was told, and apparently it is. But I was really clueless about how many hours are fine. Do Should I expect anything to do with mood change, sleep disturbance? And I was told by educators and physicians, no, chess is good for our children and it helps in problem solving. But it was around the time of lockdown, in the pandemic, and he was playing for like 6 to 7 hours a day at times. And it was through in that time period, when kids are way more defensive in their early preteen years, and often these manifestations are just attributed to puberty, and
Mhm.
that's how kids grow. But I felt something is wrong, so I started digging evidence, reading, networking, asking questions, and I was so lost. And that's when I realized that as an educator, researcher, as physician, if I can be as lost, what general families would be going through. And I'm glad I started this research. I learned a lot that has really transformed my relationship with my children and my husband. So now I'm on a mission to work through evidence-based harm reduction, less shame, more tools to reduce the temptation to doom scroll, protect sleep, and build that real world belonging for our children that we are missing everywhere in every part of the world. The digital well-being is a big concern. I think there in this concept, every country is a third world country for digital well-being. No country has achieved a level of success where all families know, oh, we know we have no issues with screen time and technology. Our kids are thriving in the online world.
Yeah, no, you're so right on that. And it's kind of reassuring to hear that it is everywhere. Everybody's struggling. And I think it's my personal experience is just getting worse. So I've had the same experience with my boys where I have one who loves his online gaming, and I would see this change in behavior, very more reactive, and the effect it had on him. So how did you, because you talk a lot about well-being in general, but also the effects it has on our mental health.
Mhm.
Um, And this is very broad. We were talking off camera about how every age group requires a different level of attention. So, before we get into how do we handle if we ban social media all of a sudden, but let's talk about how should parents be looking for what should parents be looking for, uh, depending on the age group of signs that maybe they should pay more attention to their own behaviors online, but also for their children, and which level should they be looking for?
Yeah, what a great question. And building on our initial discussion, so screen time, almost every parent is familiar with, and we all carry that guilt and shame of using devices to protect our sanity and getting some work done, which I believe is totally fine. We need to come out of that guilt trap because that further jeopardizes our relationship and self-esteem of our children.
Mm-hmm.
So screen time matters. It still matters, but it matters mostly for younger children, way more for younger children. So if I'm talking for a preschooler, yes, screen time is important. And all those previous regulations like less than 2 hours, less than 2 years, and some regulations even say no screen time before 2 years. I think it's fine in moderation, of course, as little as possible, and it has to be age appropriate. It has to be fun and learning. It should not be just swiping and getting, rapid dopamine boost. No, it should not be. It should not be too fast for developing brains. But as children grow, and now most children starting from their elementary schools, they have to use technology for learning. So the concept of screen time, which is still important, I'm not saying it's not important, it largely gets overshadows with the quality of screen time as a child grows. Now, when we look about, let's say, for an older teen, most of the learning is online. And so the quality, what exactly are they using their devices for? And AI now schools and universities have started endorsing the use of AI to some extent, at least for ideas generation. Some schools are totally open because children are still using AI to do their homework, and it's very difficult to catch. And in this world, which is so focused on AI, they have to use AI skills, but exactly why and how they are using AI. And that applies to all kinds of devices, whether it's video gaming, it could be television, it could be interactive tools. So any kind of digital device, which now the guidelines from, let's say, the American Academy of Pediatrics, which just laid out the policy statement in January 2026. So that has also spoken about screen time, that
Mm-hmm.
we just can't fix that. Okay, if a child is spending 4 hours versus a child who's spending 1 hour per day, the one who's spending 1 hour per day is going to thrive, and parents are doing way better than the other children's parent. So it's not like that. So screen time matters, but as a child grows, it's the quality of engagement through screens. So we can largely differentiate into as doom scrolling, just swipes, whether it's online gaming or social media, and also the accounts that they follow. Are they being exposed to polarized content? Are they being exposed to pornography, for example? And we are seeing children as young as sometimes 6 7 years old in early primary years, they are exposed to pornography or inappropriate content. So quality matters equally. And also, whatever they are watching, is it actually helping them with their critical thinking, in their values, family values, community values, kindness, conflict resolution? So co-viewing concept is really important, even for younger kids or older kids, especially preteens also. We could convert a screen time into a family time, like an age appropriate series or movie that parents and children watch together, or even learning videos, that if we get involved and watch with our children and ask them, oh, what did this character do, what would you do, what did you learn out of this? So we are sort of using it for learning, and it's more
Mm-hmm.
fun. So they're not disconnected through screens, but rather we are using technology as a tool and not as a trap when we set aside family technology or screen time.
Yeah, that I love that how you explain that because when we first spoke, I always say I should start recording the initial meetings because you were talking about the difference between quantity and quality because that makes a huge difference. And you would also mention the meta research on what kind of information is actually being uh, put on our children's devices, and it's scary. I think as a parent, the technology is moving so fast. Everything is progressing so quickly that it's sometimes hard for the parents to understand just how serious uh, this can become if we're not looking into what it is that our children are actually absorbing from this. Um, I'm trying to see, there's so many questions that come into mind, but let's talk about the ban. Actually, I'd like to bring in the ban just because your take on it is I really resonate with your take on this, where it should really be more of an education. Um, we should be looking at it as how can we educate families and children on this as opposed to just cutting it off and banning it, because then we're not really addressing the issues, we're just cutting it off. So what would your take on this be now that there is talk of banning social media for our youth in Australia?
Uh, it's too soon to predict whether it would do
Mhm.
all good or some good. I am not against ban. I think it's a good move. And in my perspective, it's the first blow to technology. So far, technology has dominated the world. And even now with AI, the algorithms are so strong and powerful. And we cannot be police parents. We cannot monitor our children 24/7.
Mhm.
So ban is supposedly going to be helpful. To what extent, we don't really have data as of now. But I personally feel what the governments, policymakers, even educators can do is educate families why a ban is being spoken about or why there was a social media ban for less than 16 in Australia. Because I believe oftentimes when we educate parents and teenagers, a lot of them are willing to distance themselves from social media, from our workshops that we regularly conduct with teenagers, preteens, after we educate them. And it's all online. You can go to the NYU website, the Meta internal research is there, or I can share you as a link to share with your audience later,
Mhm.
and read through the report. You'll be shocked. It's like 10% of the girls are exposed to self-harm content through social media, and social media is highly commodifiable industry, so their values and business driven principles, they clash with the well-being of children because their brains are developing, they have limited self-control, and unfortunately children, and also to some extent their parents, they end up taking all the guilt and the blame, and it also jeopardizes their self-esteem. Like if we just keep telling our children, you're always on your phone, you're always on your device, all you want to do is game, you're addicted to technology or phone, it actually, the label stays with our children throughout their life, and it's not their fault, they are innocent and vulnerable. But once we educate children about how technology has a good, bad, and ugly face, and where the ugly comes into place, and there's a fine line, but you can take some action, and how it can affect your mental well-being, it can actually affect your sleep, and we lay out some ground rules. And trust me, it is way easier with younger kids, laying out rules to protect them because they are receptive, and children love structure in general. Younger kids love structure, so they are longing for this information, and if we can give that to families, I think that would be wonderful. So ban, if it can coexist with education and equal importance to education as much as ban, I think we can do wonders in this world. It can also it can help to improve relationship of children and parents together, because it's all
Mhm.
co-regulation. Children cannot regulate their behavior, especially younger kids. So there are meltdowns, there are tantrums, and many of those lately are related to screens. We have seen everywhere. You take the phone away from as young as 2 year old, and there's a tantrum, and parents get into really uncomfortable position, especially in public places. Like they don't really want their child to create a scene, and they end up giving screens. And I have done that as a parent, and I'm sure you can relate to it. So it's a very
Absolutely.
tricky balance, yeah. But educating parents on what boundaries they can have, and in their homes and sticking to them, modeling good digital behavior, co-regulating emotions with your children, teaching your children how to regulate emotions through offline activities, because
Yeah.
they need to build that muscle to regulate their emotions, and a screen cannot fix it, and it should not be fixing it. Yeah, for a few minutes or that day a screen can be a saver, but it's not a life skill that a screen is teaching. So there was a recent research which was done in University of California on a large group of preteens, and it was recently published in JAMA. It's a great research because it has almost like 4,000 kids, prospected research over longitudinal over 4 years, and it found like in preteens, and these are really young kids, they're not teenagers. In preteens, almost a quarter of the children, they spend more than 4 hours a day on screens, not for learning. And a
Wow.
lot of these children, they actually also use screens to regulate their mood, which is
Hmm.
not the right thing to do, because screens by default includes everything, not just online gaming. It also includes social media, and we know what happens through social media. It's outside our control what a child is exposed to. It's highly
Yeah.
algorithmic, and children are curious. They'll end up clicking something out of curiosity, and then they'll be shown that content way louder, way powerful, way faster to what their brain can handle. So this applies to pornography. It applies to some connection with, let's say, online predator, which is happening not just through social media but also online gaming platform
Yeah.
lately. So there are gangs like 764 gang and gangs and other copycats, and Australian government has disclosed that a part of the ban was also related to these gangs, which indulge in sextortion cases, or grooming children, so grooming,
Hmm.
manipulation, and online predatory behavior through these gangs one of the reasons. So they are dealing with online gaming industry like Roblox or even Discord separately in coming out with structure, but they felt like it is beyond their capacity to regulate social media industry, so they decided to go ahead with the ban in less
Okay.
than 16 years.
Wow. And that's huge. Like when you look at the really big picture, it's so true that we, no matter how much we try to protect our children from undesirable content, it's still accessible no matter what. And it's so important. You mentioned the co-regulation. There really is some emotional intelligence involved in this, and you work with that as well in learning our children to self-regulate. They need to learn. They need to piggyback off of us first to co-regulate, and then they can self-regulate, or even to think for themselves. So just having these conversations with our children to say, "Did you think that was real, or did that look fake? Did that, or what do you think? Was that the best way to handle it?" I know you have a three-step format in order to practices that families can do to start having these conversations with their children. Would you be able to share that with us just to give us an idea how we could handle it to start, at least to start with something?
Yeah, sure. So the three-step framework, and I'm glad to share with your audience because it will be a game changer for families who have not given a phone to their
Hmm.
children yet. Because once they have given a phone, we need to come out with additional frameworks. But if you have not given a phone, or if your children are younger, this framework works magically. So it's called Name It, Move It, Time It. So name it. As I said before, a lot of problems, they stem from us putting the blame on our children. And it is not their fault. That's how it's biology. They are curious, their self-control is limited. I Very few children would say, "Oh, I don't want to party. I don't want to be involved in this fun thing or a game. It's my bedtime and I'm going to bed. I need my 9 to 10 hours of sleep." It doesn't happen like that because their brains are not equipped. So we need to take away the guilt and blame from children, because whether they manifest or not, whether they discuss with you or not, most of the children end up living with these labels and telling themselves a false story that there is no help. When I'm with screen, I'll always going to lose meaning keep lose track of my time. Yes, I don't have self control. Yes, I'm addicted to video games. So when
Hmm.
parents communicate clearly that technology can give you information, knowledge, learning, fun, but technology can also manipulate you by making you lose track of your time, sleep, focus, productivity. And it's not your fault because we are playing a game with technology being the opponent, where our opponent has all the cheat codes through
Right.
algorithms and all those dopaminergic content, and we don't even know the rules of the game. So let's play it safe by adopting the rules of the game. So we name it correctly. You are not at fault. Um, yes,
Yeah.
technology is very attractive, but we can win over it. We can use it as a tool to our advantage and not fall in its trap. So we name it correctly. The second is we move it. Now, if it's a game,
Mm.
move taking away your opponent's strongest weapon is the strongest move. And what's the technology's strongest weapon? Its presence. So the
Yeah.
closer it is to our side, we'll be more tempted to use it. And I generally say it's mean to check a child's self-control by placing technology next to their eyes. It's just like keeping a chocolate cake when you're on a treadmill. It doesn't work like that. So you have to move it away from their eyes, and especially at bedtime. So technologies, all kinds of phone, devices, laptops should be outside our bedrooms, because a lot of time behavioral issues are just related to chronic sleep deprivation. Children are not getting enough sleep. And just the presence of a device in the room can disrupt the sleep. It
Mm.
especially applies to preteens if they have their own phones or school laptops. So all laptops, I mean, they can of course say, no, I'm doing my homework. No, it has to be outside bedroom. And in general, all devices should also always be in a shared space, let's say in your kitchen area or your living room where you are mostly present. And I'm not saying don't allow your child to game, because most of the children are on video games. Build that muscle slowly so that they
Mm.
are motivated enough to do it less and less, and also hopefully finally give up. I've seen a lot of success cases, and it can happen. So we also have to stop thinking it can never happen. My child is into video games and will keep on playing video games. It's always the case. So yes, so we name it, we move it away. So we move devices outside bedroom, we put them in shared spaces, we never allow devices at bedtime. For charging as alarm, there are better other options. You can charge outside, you can buy an alarm clock, you don't need phone to be an alarm clock. And
Right.
monitor, because a lot of children are exposed to inappropriate content, and the easiest way to monitor is making sure the device is in a shared space.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
third is time it. So we need to time it. Doom scrolling, 5 minutes can easily turn to 5 hours, not just for children, it happens to adults. So, easiest thing to do is to work with your children if they are on social media, including YouTube. For younger kids, a lot of kids use YouTube Kids. Like, what exactly are they watching? Is it
Yeah.
appropriate for them? Is it too extreme or polarized or violent content? Is it teaching them values? And audit it together. Subscribe to only the accounts which make your children grow as a person. A lot of girls are unfortunately into all those beauty
Mhm.
episodes, and at this young age, it has led to over sexualization, early sexualization in young girls. They really don't know the difference between value based versus beauty based. So, for girls, often unfortunately polarized by social media, when we ask them, young preteen or tween girls, what are they most proud of? And this is your internal values. What are you proud of? Your character. And a lot of girls are like, my skin, my nails, my hair. So for them, and you see how this would translate in the long term in their journey when they actually choose a partner for themselves when they are slightly older. They are going to look into all those external appearances, and looks
Mhm.
are really important to girls, and biology also plays an important role. That's why social media related harms we see way more impact in girls than in boys. And boys also, they are being exposed to manosphere and a lot of polarized content, showing male dominance in this world. So we need to be mindful of what our children are watching, but again, with compassion, with empathy. If they have already formed some set of values which clash with your family values and in general good values, be patient. Please don't attack your children verbally.
Hmm.
This will take time and patience, but it is workable because their brains and minds are like clay. You can mold them in any direction. So please don't give up. Just handle it with compassion, because I personally believe in this time, the only way we can win our children from technology is through love. And
Hmm.
often, all those bad stuff that we hear, how technology is manipulating, it ends up as fear. So, our words, our actions, for our children, whatever we say, of course, the baseline is always love. Most of the parents, every parent to some extent, and all parents, they want to protect and they love their children, but they are so fearful of their future, of what would happen to them. The words that come out of their mouth are just influenced by fear. So we cannot battle technology through fear. It is not going to happen, and it will be much more fierce if we just face it with fear. So face it with love. We are pack animals, we crave belonging, and children can easily differentiate the fake social media world and the real love that comes from their parents, as long as parents are mindful not to bring the fear factor in their conversation.
That is so important. Thank you so much for sharing that because you're right. Uh, if we approach it with fear, our children are going to second guess themselves in their decisions when it comes to their habits, especially with social media. Whereas if we approach it with love and that sense of it's not your fault, this is designed this way, so let's work together to play the game right. It gives them that confidence when they're on their own to know when it's time to stop it. And I think it's good for us to take that as adults too, um, as a refresher, because we were thrown into this world as well, just as quickly as our children. But it's important for us to retrospect and see how am I using this, um, and is that taking away from time from my children where I could be educating them on this. So thank you so much, and there's so much more that I want to ask you, but if anybody want to know more about your framework and the work that you do, what would be the best place for them to go to find out more?
You can visit my website, and I'm on YouTube and Instagram, also LinkedIn. I post content regularly. You can get in touch with me through the website or just watch the content on social media. Thank you.
Excellent. I will be sure to put those links into the description. So for anybody watching or listening, go have a look at the description box. You'll find the information there. And before we wrap up, I'm not too sure if I talked to you about this, the question I ask my guests at the end of the program. And that's what do you want to be when you grow up?
When I grow up, okay.
I don't think I
Uh,
warned you about that.
uh, when I grow up in my mission and vision, I would want to see millions of parent leaders like myself. I don't believe in creating followers, I believe in creating leaders who have a voice for families and vulnerable children. And together, collectively, we are fighting with technology for the rights of our children. So I want to create as many clones as possible of me who can talk like me and who can advocate for screen safe childhood. This is how I want to grow up.
I love that. Oh, thank you so much for playing along because we do need that. Yeah, I think I forgot to mention it that um, a few years back, there was a little girl who was doing a school project where she had to interview adults. And
Mhm.
she would ask the adults that question because that's what adults ask children all the time.
Yeah.
So she thought it was just a social acceptable way, just like saying, "How are you?" You know. So she would ask and the adults wouldn't answer her. So she would get upset. And her mother just said, "Well, you should just stop asking if this upsets you so much. And she says, no, somebody's gonna get it. And she interviewed me, and I'm just a big child stuck in a
Mm.
woman's body. So I answered her, and I don't remember what I answered her because my answer changes all the time. She was so happy. She turned around and she said, "You see, mommy, I told you somebody would get it." So I promised her I would ask all of my guests what they want to. I only ask adults what they want to be when they grow up because uh, it just we're constantly evolving or we're constantly changing. So it's fun. It's just fun to hear what we think. But I loved your answer. That was a beautiful answer.
It's a lovely question, and I'm glad you asked it because I also believe that we are growing and shaping every moment. It's like a metamorphosis, and we are transforming.
Yeah,
Um, and it's a lovely question because we are still growing, and that gives us a purpose. So, apart from it, also to battle technology, and not just technology, anything happening around now, we are talking about World War III. A lot of people are suffering. There's no end to suffering, but when we focus on our purpose in life, why did we come? So, what is our purpose? What are we becoming? How we are living, it changes the entire perspective, and we change from doing to being. We just love being what we are, and it also emerges that love for ourselves, that we have a purpose in life. And I think it's a beautiful question. It doesn't really matter children or adults. There are many
yeah,
adults who have way more ego and they really need to learn a lot from children. So,
yeah,
and I have learned so much from my children. They are so pure, innocent, and they younger kids especially, they live in the present. So a lot to
yeah.
learn from them. Yeah.
That's why I enjoy the work that I do, especially with the younger ones. I find even the teenagers are teaching me a lot.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's just to not think that because we're grown that we know everything we need to know. There's the world is quickly evolving and we need to keep up with it as well. So it's a fun question to ask adults. So thank you very much for wanting to play. I know I caught you off guard there, but before we wrap up, is there anything that you would like to add that maybe we haven't mentioned? Is there words of wisdom you like to share with us and with the audience?
Uh, Often people ask me any checklist, how do I know the digital health of my child? And the
Right.
family plan from AAP, American Academy of Pediatrics, has laid out a lot of checklist questions. And you could like narrow down to 4 to 6, but I would say for all the parents, watch out your child's sleep. Your child should be getting plenty of sleep, like younger kids at least 10 hours or so, older kids at least 8, but between 8 to 10 is a good number, or some kids need more. But
Mhm.
watch your child sleep, because oftentimes it's not really screen time that leads to behavior and mood problems. The mediator is the sleep. So that's what happened in my journey, which led me to start this process. My son was just highly sleep deprived, and I didn't know that his school laptop, he's playing chess or games at night. So that's why
Mhm.
devices out. Just focus on your child's sleep before you lay out with any boundaries, because once they have rested well, they can take all these regulations and boundaries. They are way more receptive than a tired brain who already lacks self control and patience, will just push it back, and there will be more tantrums and meltdown. So focus on your child's sleep, and of course your connection with your child before you lay out with any boundaries, because to them their devices are pacifiers and you're taking their favorite teddy bear away. So just remember that. Yeah.
Oh, I love that visual. That's such an important thing because yes, they do connect to that device, so it does create this how could I say it a grieving period
Yeah.
where if they're separated from it. Thank you so much. I could keep you on for so much longer. You are more than welcome to come back anytime if you want to share more on this. It's such an important topic globally. So I do appreciate you taking the time and meeting with me today. Thank you so much.
No, no problem. It was a wonderful conversation, and thanks for having me, Daniel.
Thank you. And for everybody watching, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to whichever channel you're listening or watching from. Don't forget to go check out the description box so you can have the information on getting to know more about Sajita's work and how you can better prepare your children for this world. And until next time, stay safe, stay awesome, and we'll talk soon.